All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is the Rose777 Channel. I have with me a couple of lovely ladies. We have Karen B, Cami Nodell, Jen, also known as the Truth Seeker 69, Beth Martins, and we're hoping that Patricia Steer will be joining us tonight. Thank you, everyone. Let's go ahead and remove my banner and reveal us. Everyone turn on your cameras if you have them. Boom. Good evening. Hello. Jen.
Oh, baby.
And Cami. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. I am in my soon-to-be finished house. Look, it's a bathroom that has absolutely nothing in it. Good thing there's another one out there. But sorry if there's lots of echo. But this is going to be where I am from now on. And we made it we made it through the flood. And so the show is continuing. We wish that Patricia was here. We're not sure if there's some difficulties with technical stuff. But we love you, girl, and we hope that you show up. So how are you tonight, Karen?
I'm great. I'm fantastic. I just got back from visiting my local Flat Earth friends, Jack and Carolyn, and they had a bunch of friends over. So I got to hang out with some local flatties, good people. It was great.
Excellent. I love to hear about human beings acting like human beings as we are social and we like to spend time with other beings.
Yes, there was a whole bunch of us inside of the same room, and none of us were wearing masks, and we were all eating food from the same table.
Yay!
Oh my gosh. Did anyone double dip? Do we have any double dippers?
Maybe. I don't know.
I would let you double dip my guacamole, my hummus, my tzatziki sauce,
Ooh,
anything.
So good.
Let's have all of that.
I love hummus.
Hey, Jen, what's up? How are you tonight?
I'm good. I walked around an old graveyard today taking video, and then my allergies went crazy. I had to come home, take some Benadryl, and lay down before we did the show because I was sneezing. My eyes were watering. It was a mess. But I got some good video earlier.
Oh, awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're here. We made it despite all obstacles. I was so happy to have you on at the end of my Mandela Effect episode with Brian the other night. And I was like, totally, I had to leave and then my audio was bad. And so tonight we have finally made it and I am here to stay. And yeah, I want to have you back on my show to talk about all of your research. One thing to mention is that all of the ladies here tonight are truth seeking. We share that in common. We like to look at information, gather it, use our own discernment, share our ideas with others. And all of us have decided to put ourselves out there, which has its pros and cons, to share what we think. And I don't want to speak for all of us. We're all going to share our own opinions. But the purpose of my channel, and I hope that you ladies are okay with this, even though this is a traveling show. So if you're not okay with it, we'll do it your way on your channels. But the purpose of my channel is for different people to come together and share their ideas, even if they're different. And sometimes we might disagree with each other and we can still remain friends. Is that cool? Do you think that we can handle it?
I think I can handle that.
Hey, Beth, how's it going?
I welcome that.
Yeah, sounds pretty real to me. Thanks for having me, Rose. This is actually a thrill. Totally excited for this conversation.
Yeah, I know that you, I started reading your book and I'm a very slow reader and sometimes I skip to the end and the middle. And I just have to say that your book, it smells so good and it feels good. It's soft. It's soft. Aww. And so I wish, I haven't finished yet, but I want you to share a little bit about what your book is about. We're all going to share our channels. And like I said, this is a traveling show. So every week, I guess maybe at the end of the show, we can pick who's going to be next. But Beth, one of the things that I love about your work is that you focus on archetypes, and you've mentioned that you were an ex-feminist or something of that nature, and I totally get what you mean by that. I think that the neo-feminist movement is totally a Tavistock-induced social engineering tool to create division, and you like to highlight king heroes. And I just, something in my life is I just think that all of us, no matter if we're Y-chromosome challenged, we should all be balanced in our brains and use discernment, using both logic and reason, and also our sacred intuition. And men and women should be balancing their brains. And some women are more masculine in their brains, maybe left brain imbalanced, and there can be problems associated with that. And some women can be right brain imbalanced. And anyway, I'm kind of rambling because your work is very inspiring, and I just resonated with it. So anyway, go ahead, Beth. I'll stop talking.
Thank you so much, Rose. That's awesome. Yeah, it was such a thrill again, and pleasure to have people reading that book and getting something out of it. It's the perfect book to flip around with, by the way, because whatever draws you, that's where the magic is for that moment. And I am a stand for supporting strong men to be leaders. Right now we can see how it is more needed than ever. Right, we need these men to stand up and speak the truth and say the thing that nobody wants to say, and take the beating, whatever that is, and lead the people who want to be led. And also, I love women who are themselves often king heroes. They want to get out and be a leader. They are leaders such as we've got here in this group. And we all have a way to lead that is totally in alignment with our own purpose on this earth. And if we all did that and we were the leader to the people that need us to lead, then I think it would look like a really different earth. I was going to say planet, but I don't believe that anymore, since we're also on the flat plane mode here.
Yeah, and hey, if somebody shifts, if someone all of a sudden finds the curvature, we will be the first to report it on the panel. Right,
nice.
Guys?
You got it.
And sure. Cammie, are you still there?
I am still here. Now,
hello.
Rose, your shows that have all the different viewpoints, those are my favorite shows. And Beth, with the books, I like books that smell good too. The show name, Bitches Brew, made me think. As a little girl, my favorite book was something called Jennifer Hackett Macbeth, William McKinley, and Me Elizabeth. And why that sounds like a mouthful for a child's book, and it was a child's book. It makes me think of this show because it wasn't so complicated. Jennifer was the friend. Hackett Macbeth, they were friends looking at magic and enchanted with magic and how to cast spells and things like that. William McKinley was just where they went to school with. Jennifer was, herself or whatever. So it was just, a group of things. And what it taught you is the magic was really where you looked around you and with the friendships and with the girls getting together. And that really truly was the magic, not the spell casting, but just the girls getting together and seeing everything with curiosity and magic and looking at things differently. So this show.
Nice.
Did
Yes,
you say,
Cammie.
Cammie, that they went to McKinley School?
Yeah, William McKinley, and then me, Elizabeth. So yeah, Jennifer, Hackett Macbeth, William McKinley, and me, Elizabeth. So it was friends going to school and trying to cast spells or thinking magic. And what happens when girls get together and are curious and that.
Yeah.
But what happens when you're curious is you see through the tricks and you see the real magic and what's really important.
Yeah, the magic is, I think there's so much magic in the energy as we pass it back and forth as humans. And Cammie, I just love how imaginative you are and the fact that you're into really nerdy, sciencey topics. And you're able to imagine the different possibilities that could be, and you can talk about it and share your ideas. And I just love it. And you do it in such a fun and positive way that I just feel it's easy for me to pay attention to with my rapid thinking. And same with you, Jen, the way you talk and the way that you put your passion and the gusto into it and the way that you see the way that you say things. There was one phrase that you often say, and it really inspired me to start my channel as well, on top of being obsessed with Karen B and Brian's streams. Maybe I can give you a hint so that you can say it, because I love the way you say it. But it's something like, we can't say that we didn't speak up. I tried to say it in a really paraphrased way so that you could say the real one.
Yeah. Yeah, I always say, let it not be said that we stood by and did nothing. That's one of my favorite phrases for this whole thing. Even when I started my 9/11 journey way back then, I was saying that. And first time I heard it, I was like, yeah, because I don't have any grandkids yet. But, one day when I do have grandkids and I'm not here anymore, they might ask my kids, well, what was grandmom doing when all this was going on? And they can tell them, because my kids have come along this journey with me. They were about 10 and 13 when I learned all the 9/11 stuff back in 2005, 2006. So they've been on this journey with me, and they're awake as well. And they're going to teach their children this stuff. And, that's what we all need to do. We need to, educate our children as we're re-educating ourselves and stuff, because they're going to be taught more lies and perpetuate the lie. Whether it's, the globe earth or, all this stuff with the media, all this fake stuff that's going on and everything, they're going to buy the lie and perpetuate the lie down the line. And we have to stop that. And I think that's the only way we can stop it, is if we start with our children, because they start with our children. They get our kids in kindergarten, 5 years old.
Yeah, I think that in a way that we're allowing the next generations to be deceived so much and kind of making up excuses that, it's the system that they're born in and they need to learn how to survive in that system. It's kind of like the perpetuation of abuse. How people, if they are abused as children, sometimes they will become the abusers. It's kind of like lies. Like, if you were lied to, then you'll justify more lying to others. So I think that breaking these unnatural cycles and trusting kids with the truth. Like a lot of times I will, I've manipulated and lied to a lot of my friends' kids. Like, I told my best friend, Kelsey, I was desperate and I needed her child to listen to me. And so I told her that the reason I'm in a wheelchair is because I didn't listen to my mommy. And that was wrong. But, now I'm a better person for it. And I think that I should trust CC to be like, you know what, maybe you should behave yourself because it's the right thing to do. And these are the reasons why, like, maybe this is the potential outcomes and why we would all benefit from you quieting. Sorry. But anyway, clearly I'm not a parent. But Karen, hello. I'm trying to go around this circle. In preparation, I was going to try and take notes and just type into different comedian videos about different stereotypes associated with women. And I didn't have time to do that. But I love comedy, making fun of women. Do you like that kind of comedy, or does it kind of bother you?
I just like comedy.
Yeah, you got to be able to laugh at everything, in my opinion. Yeah, but I didn't have time to like really take notes. So I'm just thinking about like different things from my past that I have changed since then. One of those things was I was a tomboy, and I always felt like I was in competition with women, that there wasn't enough space in the room for me and other women, and that I was comparing myself to them, and I felt really insecure if there was another girl around. But I felt really comfortable with a bunch of guys, but I felt more comfortable with women if there was no other guys around. I don't know if anyone resonates with anything that I'm talking about. But then I discovered in my mid 20s, maybe like 23, 24, that I need my bitches, and that we work together, and that we're all going through life together, and that we benefit from everyone being able to communicate and get along. So I just want to know if you had a similar journey, or were you always really close with women? Have you ever felt betrayed by a woman, or have you been betrayed more than by men? What do you think?
I actually resonate a lot with a lot of what you said, Rose, because I was very tomboyish growing up. I never liked any of the girly stuff. I always played with other boys. I always felt more comfortable in a group of with other boys. And I didn't have any problem being the only girl. And I liked it that way, actually. Very similar to you. It's funny. But yeah, but then it did take me a while. Then later on in life, I did start to appreciate more relationships with other women and saw the value in it. But yeah, it took me a while to appreciate it. But now I do see it, and I do appreciate it. I appreciate all sorts of relationships now that I never used to. But yeah, totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, maybe it's something that can't even be articulated very easily. Let's say that if there's a little, and by the way, my analytics say I don't have anybody, not one person the age of 24 and under has watched this. Or if they are 24, then good for them for not telling YouTube how old they were. But I mean, maybe it's something that just experience helps you to understand. What do you think, Jen and Beth? I'm sorry, I shouldn't say two names at once. That's retarded. And Cammie, who wants to jump in here? Who wants to jump in here out of the three other women?
I'll jump in. I got lots to say about this one because I grew up with two sisters, so it was one of those scenarios where we hated each other, and right up until my mom's passing, we're literally three daughters almost ready to kill each other on her deathbed. She might have died of that, and you could see her. I'm laughing about it, but it was like, oh my, you think we would get past this by now, or even just put it aside for this moment, but it was kind of intense, and it really caused me to look in deep and see what is that, because I've of course experienced this my whole life, where women seem against each other, and the sisters and that kind of thing, and digging down into it, I just felt like it's a mother wound. It's not actually about our sisters. It's not necessarily about our birth mother either, but it's about say in the case of the state right now, how it's acting like a parent. Instead of having a conflict with the state, we are having a conflict with each other. Because the reason, this is the clincher, it's because it's way safer to have a conflict with each other than it is with the parent, because the parent represents that security and that safety. But it's an illusion, of course, that we're aware of that, and that's how we get stuck in these situations. If you allow yourself to be betrayed by the mother or the parent or the state, then you're dealing with reality. You can just bleed and heal and get on with it. I much, almost don't suffer my relationship with my sisters and women in my life now. So I feel really lucky about that.
Awesome, Beth. Hell yeah. Thank you for sharing that. All right, I guess we'll just keep going around. Cammie, how do you feel about bitches?
How do I feel about bitches? Well, I grew up with 5 kids, but the next two right above me were brothers, and then there wasn't another one for 7 years, and that was a little girl, so a baby doll. I had to be tough to hang out with the brothers. I was a tomboy. I shied from all things dolls and went for all things magnets, roller skates, and chemistry sets. It was a happy world, actually, but I don't know. I interacted more with boys and girls, but growing up, and again, I think it happened more in adulthood, where, I don't know, I think women learn a little bit earlier. I think that people go through a phase of normal development where you think that you're better by somebody else being worse, or by making somebody else worse, or by thinking somebody else, if this person is bad, therefore I'm better. I think women come out of that stage and understand the strength in helping each other, and understand that we're just stronger together, and nobody being worse makes anybody any better. And so I gravitate towards, there's a lot of women that really fully understand that don't have that catty attitude. You can still find some with, the catty attitudes, but just getting past that and knowing that, somebody else being great, again, you can be great right alongside, but it doesn't, again, them being worse never makes you better.
Right. Yeah, totally. I totally resonate with that. The more, it's like the illusion of scarcity too. There is abundance. There's room for all of, well, in StreamYard, there's room for 6 of us, but I mean, in general, there is room for all of our creative energies, and we all have something to bring to the table, something different to bring. And I mean, even if I spend an entire week just reviewing all of the information on all of your channels, I mean, I could never become, in that amount of time, a really well-rounded, knowledgeable person on that topic as much as you guys. So, helping each other and sharing our ideas and taking that newfound community and our each other's ideas and going into the continuing research and then coming back and correcting each other and being open to criticism and not taking it as a personal attack. Anyway, Jen, now it's your turn. What's your experiences with bitches?
Bitches don't like me. They just don't. I don't know what it is. I don't have very many female friends. The ones that I have had have stabbed me in the back one way or another. But when I was younger, I have a picture. I was about like 7 or 8 years old. I was in a schoolyard, and there's 3 other kids with me, and we're all on our big wheels, and I was the only girl. So yeah, I was kind of a tomboy. I was always comfortable with myself. I didn't ever feel like I was intimidated by other girls or anything, or if boys were around. It was like, I just felt as comfortable with the girls as I did with the boys. Whereas girls, when they get around boys, it's like, is she prettier than me? Does he like her and all that stuff? And I never cared about that stuff. I didn't have a boyfriend until I was 16. So, and then the friends that I've had, the women in my life that have been friends with me and stuff, they're intimidated me because of the fact that I'm comfortable with myself, and I'm comfortable with putting my ideas out there and speaking mine, where a lot of women are more reserved or trying to put on a show for people when they're out around guys and stuff. And I'm more like, I'll just break down 9/11 or just whatever, I'm not worried about how I look, how I sound and all this stuff. I'm just like, speaking my truth and being concerned about the situation at hand. Whereas there's always been competition. I don't know why. I admire beauty. Like if I see a beautiful woman, I'm like, damn girl, you just look like you hopped off the cover of a magazine. I'm not like, oh, look at this bitch. She thinks she's all that. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of women are intimidated by me with myself in that regard. And whereas the girls that I know were like putting on shows for people and stuff and not being their true selves. And with me, it's just what you see is what you get. And I'll call out on your bullshit.
I love it, Jen. This is such an exciting panel. And I saw Patricia Steer in the chat. You are supposed to be here. The big group that we had in Facebook, we put the link there. I hope you can find it. Karen also sent you the link on Skype. I hope you will join us. As soon as I see you join backstage, we will have you on. We need you. We need as many as StreamYard will let us, right? And there's so many other people that I wish could join us as well. But maybe it's smart to leave it at 6 because of bandwidth and also time constraints. But anyway, so what's on your mind, Karen? I like how when I go like this, it looks like we're looking at each other.
Well, Rose, let me tell you what's going on. A whole heck of a lot of craziness out there. I don't know what's wrong with these men these days.
Is it just men though? I think that there's a lot of craziness on both sides right now.
Oh, do tell, Karen. Do tell.
Absolutely true. Huh?
She's trying to incite a riot.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
It's
I don't
crazy
know,
to see
man.
1 second everyone is upset if you're out and about and sitting down on a park bench. And now everyone's ootin' a boot. It just seems like everything is scheduled. If you have been reduced to an infantile, I wrote this in the chat and I thought I liked what I wrote, and I don't know why Jason didn't read it out loud. No, I'm just kidding. But I was just like, if you've been reduced to an infantile animal, then your emotional reactions are scheduled just like the weather. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if someone on their cell phone has a calendar to be like, incite this emotional reaction and then observe and collect data and make sure that you say exactly what you think about it on social media.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we're doing right now. It's a double-edged sword. What can we do?
Yeah, it's exactly what they're doing. Everything's been set up. It's all been staged. I mean, it's clear to me that everything that we're seeing has been set up, and it's not even a recent setup. This stuff's been being set up for decades, because the whole race baiting thing, that took decades to put in place. I mean, we're going all, way back. That took the slavery thing. I mean, this is how far back this goes, pitting people against each other because of the color of their skin. And they set it all up so that now look where we are. Anytime they want to have something take over everybody's attention, it's a race war. They have a white cop kill a black guy, or a black cop kill a white guy, whatever. They do something, and then the mass media starts painting it all over. Everybody starts rioting, and then you have the Asian provocateurs. They go there and they're smashing windows and they're setting bricks up there, and trying to incite violence, and people are starting to catch on to it now. They're recording it, they started to catch on to it with the whole Ferguson thing, and then it came out with the Soros funding these riots, and then now it's like the whole thing. It's like, oh, wait, we got to wait for why are they rioting now? Because it takes a while to get the Soros buses to come in, right? So we can get all of the actors, and then you find out, what, everybody that was arrested in Minnesota, they were all from out of state. Oh, shocking. You mean these people didn't live there? They didn't come out of their house to burn down their own city? Or you mean that's not what happened? It's becoming, even this is painfully obvious. It's almost like, the COVID-19 thing was going on, and it was like painfully obvious that was complete and utter nonsense and garbage and lies, and just everything was all the numbers being padded with the empty hospitals, just completely exposed for the lies that it was. And it's just when it's like, painfully obvious, it's like it can't get any more obvious. Boom, race war, right? That's what we got going. Now we got people rioting in the streets. All of a sudden, nobody's afraid of the COVID anymore. Everybody, but they're wearing masks. Got rioters in the streets with their masks on. Everybody's got a mask now. You armed everybody with a mask. Now they're in the street. You don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Karen?
it's insanity. Who writes this stuff?
Karen?
What?
I have to tell you, our mayor just announced that he's giving free COVID testing to any of the protesters. No lie.
Okay, hold on. Let me wrap my head around the logic in that. If you give a free, no, hold on. If COVID's not okay, hold on. If you give a free test to the protesters, that's going to encourage people who are scared of COVID to go protest or feel safe while they're protesting. I mean, we know that the reason why anyone would make something free is because they just want the data, but I don't understand where the protest, why can't they just give it? Oh my goodness.
The mayor states he's worried because these people haven't been practicing social distancing, and he wants to help them out by offering free tests, line them up. You can't make this shit up. You can't make it up. Go back to where you're going, Karen. That was a great rant, but I mean, you can't make the craziness up.
If you look at it this way, this is working perfectly into their plan. You can go so many different directions with this. They could say, oh, well, numbers are back up because there's crowds of people protesting, nobody's social distancing, and now we have to do this. I think what happened was nobody came out and started protesting really hard about the whole mask thing and the COVID thing being one big hoax, and then the kickstart, so they can have the reason to bring in force, and this is a perfect opportunity for them to start doing that. I just sent you I was going to try to screen share it myself, but I'm glitching here a little bit. But Rose, to our little group, I sent you a picture that my sister sent me. She lives just outside of Philadelphia. She had to go into Philly today to visit my cousin who lives in our neighborhood where we're at. And sign on the side of the road, take a look at it, what it is for Philly.
Oh my goodness.
This is where they're putting up ways for people. Can you share that?
Yeah, let me open that up for everyone here.
So yeah, it's interesting. You know, these cities are burning down, and you know, you could probably set your watch to when the military is going to roll in, because they're only going to let this go on for so long. Yeah, can you zoom in on it at all?
Let's see here. Avoid Philadelphia.
Wow.
What a strange thing to see. I love Philadelphia. It's one of my favorite cities, and I love how the buildings are so old, and it just looks like they've just stood the test of time. Jen, I know you really would love to get in on that. Talking about old architecture, that's one of the things I love about your work. But I mean, more just seeing all the human behavior around it over the years.
Yeah, so now they're saying avoid Philadelphia, and apparently they're burning everything down in Philly, and it's probably most likely George Soros's cronies that he has in these underground bases waiting to come out for these protests.
Well, and
his armies of NPCs.
Man. There's
it's
Oakland,
everywhere. It's going on. It's just sparking like wildfire.
There's the Oakland in California, Los Angeles, and then I heard Oklahoma City in Oklahoma. I don't know where else, but I mean, there were
over 30 U.S. cities with like 3 deaths in Indianapolis. Denver had big ones going on. They're going on, and I know locally in Denver, they are definitely on the news doing everything they can to incite racial edginess. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are definitely, even like they interviewed the mayor and asked if he thought this was murder, and he was like, yes, he thought it was murder. Then they went back to all the other deaths that have happened in Denver to Black people over the last 20 years and said, how is it different than these ones? And the next thing you know, its mayor says cops murdered all of these people. Is how
what are the chances that this guy didn't die and he's still alive and this is one big hoax? Because I have heard, I don't know for sure, but this guy has a twin, conveniently.
I've heard that too, but I'm not sure if it's true.
Yeah, when I saw the video of that guy, they did look like the same genetics. They really did look like twins, but I don't know the source of the video. Maybe it was this literally the same guy, or I don't know, but they did look like the same guy for sure. The video I saw, we just don't know the source of it or when it took place or if it was hit. I don't know. Just
like the Challenger when it blew up, they all had twins. They're all still so funny. Yeah, I mean, how convenient is that?
Right. If you're involved in anything in the media, you're more likely to have a twin.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can light that match for racial divide anytime they want. All you got to do is get a cop to kill a Black person or something.
Actually, you know what, Jen? Here's something I just want to point out, and this is probably common knowledge, but in case anyone here is not fully aware, when you have twins, I guarantee, if twins run in my family, if I were to have children, I'm supposed to have twins because it skips a generation in my family. My great grandfather was a twin. And then my aunts, my dad's 2 sisters are twins. And so then it's supposed to skip, but the twin had twins. So it didn't skip a generation that time. So it's just like, but people come out and they're like, have you considered putting your babies on TV? Because when it's a newborn, and they can only have the baby on camera for a certain amount of time legally. Mm-hmm. So when you have twins, you can switch around. And that's the whole thing with, there it is. Yeah, the Olsen twins. So they would flip back and forth, playing one child. So that's the first thing. It's almost like a filter, like everyone get the twins. And then also you get contacted about festivals and studies and all those things because it is super cool. Aren't twins super cool? I had a friend once that was scared of twins, and I was never scared of twins. I thought it was super cool. And I always wanted to understand like their secret languages and stuff, and be like, okay, so which one of you is eating organic and which one isn't? You know, you could really figure out nature versus nurture with twins. But if they are into acting, man, of course they're going to end up in space.
Yeah. Space is made in the Hollywood basement, and apparently their basement has mice. Because there was a mouse crawling around on that fucking rocket. I don't know if you ladies saw it, but I was watching a video earlier, and there's a little mouse running around.
I think someone mentioned that it may have been from a previous set of footage, not necessarily from yesterday, but I did download my recording from the reaction, so I should go back and review it. But it was so ridiculous and so obvious. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if someone put that in after the fact. I have to go back and review.
Was an old video, actually. I downloaded it from SpaceX Channel. I got the original one from the SpaceX Channel, and it is in there. And to me, it looks like a mouse.
Oh, yeah, it does.
It is a mouse, whether it was put there or not. That is supposed to be a real mouse or layered in CGI. It just going. I don't know.
Either way, they need some mouse traps in their basement where they make these Hollywood productions.
Or maybe some cheese. Lure it with cheese and then humanely release it. Wait, you can't release it in space. So what do you do humanely with the mouse in space?
They can have my cat.
No, well, my cats love it. Isn't it scary how cats have no idea how they're horrifying you when they catch something? They're just like, you hear a noise and you're just like, what is going on? Is someone crying? And they're just like holding something and they're just like, see what I did? Isn't this amazing? And even though you're like, no, it's a bullfrog or a bunny.
Oh yeah,
like
a bunny. My cat brings in baby bunnies. I'll hear something screaming outside. Baby bunnies scream. Okay. Yeah, me too. And it's like, and then my cat brings in this baby bunny, and I have to try to get it. And it's hopping around my house, hiding. He's going nuts. And last week there was a half a bunny on my step outside. He ate the whole front half of the bunny off. I was like, what?
Yeah. Life crazy. Is cruel. It was a baby. This is a crazy world full of so much. I see so much suffering, and I always wonder how much of their brains are suffering. And Beth, you haven't spoken up in a while, so I'm just going to ask you the most random question ever. It's kind of philosophical. Does your awareness of a situation contribute to the level of suffering? So here, let me give you an example. And this is one of those horrible false dichotomies where it's like, that would never happen. Don't make me choose. Where it's like, would you save a newborn baby or a 99-year-old old person? But the reason from a drowning pool, the reason I'm bringing it up is not because I want you to make a choice, but the baby has no idea what the heck is going on. It doesn't know about death, and maybe it can feel scared, of course, just being separated from the mom or dad. But an old person, they're fully aware about what asphyxiation is and that this is going to be the end. So can you quantify suffering? Does it also have to do with the person's genetics or their fortitude? Of course, it has to do with how fearful of a person or how afraid of death they are. But then we're going back to awareness. Does awareness play a role?
I think it totally does. It's a great question. You think about how. Now, I don't know about the Dalai Lama from this perspective of my life. If is he the real deal, or is he a figurehead, an actor, as they mostly all are? So he might be, but he answered a question anyways. And someone said that, hey, why are you crying that your friend died? And he said that I feel the pain way more intensely now where I'm at than I would otherwise. And it's been my experience as I go along that I suffer more and more. Now, it's not much of a, advertisement for the work that I do. Oh, you're going to suffer more. Woo! Like, not exactly what you want, but it's that you go through less. It seems like the big things don't have to blow up in your face as much anymore, but the smaller things will cause more pain. So what it ends up being is that basically everybody's in the same place of suffering. That's my take on it. And and I know you're not saying this definitely, but babies, I think, are probably in the same place as the 99-year-old. I think they're in that same level of no filter going on. nothing to lose, nobody to prove anything to, and they're just feeling all of it. So
excellent point. Just like how people say that babies see ghosts. Like Jason said that when his daughter was a newborn baby, it would look and track at the exact same thing in the room, invisible thing that the cats were. So all the cat eyes were like, what? And then the baby would be doing that. And then it just disappeared over time. I don't know if Cammie, Karen, or Jen, you guys are, you're all parents. Wait, am I the only non-parent here?
Yeah, I have a son too.
Patricia, where are you? Do you have a parent? I'm just trying all alone here with you weirdos. You birthed.
I'll field this one.
Cool, go for it. Yeah.
I do know in some cultures and customs that thing that you would call a nursing blister, that little bump on the top of a baby's lip, if you look at it. And I think this is beautiful. But I've heard through some different cultures that until that heals up, they have a connection where they can see through the veil and see through the other side, and with their curiosity, and they do see more than us. And as that heals, they lose it. They close the connection, and they lose the ability to see. And so I've actually watched babies and ones that seem to have more pronounced nursing blisters.
What are you talking about? What's a nursing blister?
Well, if you look at little ones, they have on their top lip a little round bump on their top lips, and you call it a nursing blister, even though it's not really a blister. It's just it's part of being a baby. Oh. Karen, can you explain it better? A nursing blister, that little, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? On the lip.
Yeah, that's just how little baby lips are. Some of them have a little bump there.
They have a little bump there, but I
never knew it was called the nursing blister until I talked to Cammie, though. But I know what she's talking about.
That never happened to me. I don't want to share this. I'm just kidding.
But I've had experiences with my children when they were babies or toddlers, very young, that they seem to see things. Like my son at one point was looking out my front window, and he goes, Nina, which was what my grandma's name was, but she was already gone. She was passed.
Well, so Cammie, how did they, sorry, Karen, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but my brain just went how did they associate this seeing with the nursing blister?
I don't know. I heard it years ago, and I heard it through an Orthodox Jewish and some different cultures, more in the a cultural than a and in different old ones. I don't know where the association came, but it made a lot of sense to me for some reason. How where you hear things and it's wow, that's interesting, or that seems to click. Because I do know with my son, he would look off into a corner, and the dog would also stop and become transfixed on spots and that, and it'd be who are you talking to, or what are you seeing? Because it wasn't like they were looking there blurry eyed, or that something would catch them and they would be intent. And you're right, animals can see it too, and I think we shut off the channel as we get older. We close. I would have to the way I feel it. And that's it's a feel, not a thing. The way I feel it is it comes in like a radio station through the electromagnetic waves, the different information and that. And as we get older, I think we close off the channel. We can't receive it as well.
Wow. Karen, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. Can you finish your thought? And also, could you respond to my idea that I'm thinking about the nursing blister? And also, wouldn't it make more sense if it was while they were waiting for the hole to close on their skull? Maybe they could go. What do you think of that?
Maybe.
Karen?
What?
That was directed towards you when you think about waiting for the hole to close. And also I interrupted you. But if you had a brain fart, that's the perfect time for Jen to jump in.
I totally missed the question.
No worries. Sorry, Jen. Savor.
I know my cat sees stuff because I've watched him follow stuff around, and then I've taken my my camera and put it on record, and the light comes on, and I could see orbs that I can't see with my eyes that he's following around. I made a few videos about it. Also, when my youngest son, he's 26 now, but when he was 3 months old, his grandmother passed away, and we inherited the house that she died in. and she was absolutely in love with her new grandson, and she always babysat him before she passed away. So now we're living in the house that she passed away in, and he's laying in his crib, and I had never heard a baby, an infant, crack up laughing, like literally crack up laughing like they were being tickled, constant laugh, right? So I hear him laughing in there, and it's like 8:00 at night. He's, not asleep yet. So he's laughing super hard, and I'm peeking in trying to see what the hell's going on. And he's like looking up at the ceiling in the corner. And I got my ex-husband to come over. I'm like, come here, look at this. And we watched him for like 10 minutes. He would like crack up laughing, and then he'd stop. And then he started crack up laughing again. Like, I've never heard an infant crack up laugh like this. It was just amazing. We were like crying in the doorway. I'm like, that's your mother. He's looking at your mother. She's tickling him.
Wow.
But yeah, there's definitely a connection there. And it used to last up until about 5 or 6, but it seems like with the more shots in the shot program now, the vaccination program for kids, they don't even see that stuff anymore, hardly. You used to hear a lot of past life stories from children. A lot of children would see, have, imaginary friends and stuff. It was really just they could see through the veil. But these stories have faded away with the multiple shots that are now in the vaccination programs. I think that they wanted to get a better grip on calcifying the young ones' pineal glands, before they ever even
hence blocking the channel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty scary what the infants actually go through. Even a normal birth is pretty traumatic. I had my son in water.
Oh, that's great. Water birth is perfect. That's the way we all should be being born. But if you look at it from a baby's point of view, you come out into this sterile environment with bright lights in your face and needles and knives waiting for you.
Yeah.
I mean, for a first impression, it leaves an emotional scar on all of us when we're born, I think, because we're being born wrong. We're not being born in a nice warm bath, coming out into the same temperature as what we just came out of, and gently being caressed by this warm water and your mother, and laying there and making that connection and everything. It's not this scary, traumatic thing, if it's done right. They have us doing everything wrong from birth till death.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Just to set the record straight, I was screaming and he was screaming, and it wasn't that romantic. 8 hours of screaming. I held back screaming just because I knew I'd be having to scream more. So I held back just to save some of that. Not to scare you, Rose. Oh, you're muted, Rose. Just
You're muted.
At Iron Maiden concerts, I always do that. I always make sure I don't scream for the opening bands or even in the beginning of the show, because at the end of the show, you're just going to want to show that appreciation and, just kind of get all it. Yeah. And also, I thought it was so interesting that when I went in 2009 to audition, I had a job and I took 2 days PTO and I wasn't planning on getting picked, but I did American Idol to observe the social behavior. What is it like to be around thousands of people that think they're the best? And so, you go in, you roll in, and it's like everyone's doing Mariah Carey. And like doing it and everything the same. And I'm like, I'm going to do Manowar Brothers in Metal. But before you begin and they start bringing people down to the tents where there's 4 producers per tent, and you have 45 seconds before they decide if you are marketable as a winner or a loser and worthy of proceeding and thinking that you're better so that you can make a fool of yourself in front of famous people on camera. They have you screaming at these moving cameras saying, "Welcome to LA." And these people are losing their voices screaming before their audition. So it's also a test, like a filter, like you have the cattle call, and then you're kind of filtering away the people that aren't thinking at all.
Yeah. I can see that.
Sorry, did I render everyone's speech?
No, that's great, because it's good to have the experiences and the things you remember and seeing what's going on. I love experiences. Again, things like that set the memories and things going. So I think it's fun that you did that. Mm-hmm. So how'd you do on your tent?
Well, so you sit in the bleachers. It was at the Rose Bowl, and like I said, 8 hours in the sun. I felt like I was going to pass out, and I just obviously the only food they had there was crap. And so I was with all the people that were disabled. And so they had us waiting for 8 hours in a section. And I was with people that were blind and amputations and all electric wheelchairs, manual wheelchairs, quadriplegics, paraplegics. There was even someone walking around and their legs worked, but their arms didn't. And their arms were just, flopping. And it was so interesting. And so then when it was so in between, kind of like how a line works where they take down people one at a time to the elevator, because everyone else had to go downstairs. So they would take us and then we get to cut in the line one group at a time. So I was with 2 blind people and another person in a wheelchair, and I was the 4th person. Everyone had 45 seconds, and they were told they were going to have 45 seconds, and everyone was stopped after 1, 2, 3 seconds, stop, thank you. And then I was just so overwhelmed by the experience. And I was just doing Manowar. I was doing a heavy metal song, and I wasn't trying it to get picked. So I felt like I didn't want to waste anyone's time. So I just burst into, I did kind of, I don't really think I should do this in front of, I don't want to hurt your ears, but I'll do it really softly. You know how Ace Ventura was proving the veracity of the mainstream narrative by opening up the door and showing the muting part where I was like, I did that part of a metal song. I started with that so that they could just be like, thank you.
I love it. I love it. That's amazing.
It was fun. So anyway, we're almost up to an hour here. I didn't set up my audio cables to take calls, but I think maybe in the future, as long as I'm in the stream of any of us when we do our traveling channel, I could take calls for us.
Mm-hmm.
So we should do that in the future.
As well.
Yes, that's right.
One more thing. One more thing can we talk about quickly before we close is just about the, honestly, I feel so grateful for this being the Bitches Brew. First, it was going to be Bitch Slap was the first choice. And then, and then we slightly refined it to Bitches Brew, but somehow the Bitches, it can be hard to give yourself permission to be, maybe we're in good company here. You guys don't mind being bitches. And I'm certainly one of those. I have to always tone it down, but I just feel grateful to be in a space where we can just, be ourselves and say the thing that's real. And, there's a lot of righteous anger that's coming up right now. And there's nothing wrong with that. So just a message to put out there that, it is time to get mad. That's what's waking us up from that. If we follow the map of the archetypes that I do, it's the humanity's stuck in the child right now. And they won't get mad about stuff. They just want to, put the covers over their head and watch their Netflix. And no offense to anyone who loves their Netflix, but it is time to throw that off, allow ourselves to be betrayed, and just get mad about all these absolutely stupid fucking things that are going on.
Hell yeah. And I think that, as Mark Pasco says, the sacred gift of anger. And I do appreciate the idea of having an attitude of gratitude. It does work. The whole fake it till you make it idea, the whole serenity prayer idea, it's all good, but you got to have that anger in order to spring forward into action that will help us get an actual result, because we can't just meditate ourselves into a positive future. Go ahead, Jen. I'm sorry. I know you want to jump in here.
No, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and people think that they're doing something good for themselves by wearing these masks all day and smothering themselves, giving themselves hypoxia. They don't even know what hypoxia is. But, I've noticed people are starting to get frustrated about that. And I'll tell them, you should be angry. You should take that thing off your face, and people need to kill their television, because that is what's holding them back. It's got a grip on their psyche. And I think this whole thing that's going on with this police thing and everything is just the match to light the flame, that spark that they needed to make it look like people are. And maybe the ones who are frustrated will join in with these people who are already being instigated and everything and manipulate it and stuff. But you do have to get mad. You have to at some point be like, yeah, this isn't fucking right. And that line comes for everyone. It's different for everybody. A lot of people will take it all the way up to here and here and here before they finally get mad. I was about 35 when I finally woke up. And I knew for a long time, I'm like, why is shit so fucked up? Why is everything like this? Clearly, the people running the world are fucking maniacs.
Yeah.
They're making decisions that are just like, the opposite to the best interest of the people in the world, the plane that we're on. And I really got mad there for quite some time that people weren't interested even in any of this stuff. I felt like I just discovered electricity or something. And I'm trying to impart this to people, and they're like, yeah, whatever. I don't worry about that. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
You should.
Yeah, I have a question for all of the panel members here before we do our closing statements. I've been interested in everything. I mean, I have found everything interested. When I went to college, even though we know that it's indoctrination camp, at the time, even the classes that I was scared of taking, that I thought maybe I wouldn't be good at it, or I didn't really understand the value in it. Oh my gosh, I was wondering if I should change my major to that. And growing up, my friends didn't think that anything I thought was interesting. Did you guys have any similar experience like that? Where you feel like you were more imaginative and interested in things? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Although I was one of those people that, I don't know, I was one of those people that actually got along with everybody.
Yeah.
I got along with like all the yuppie girls. I got along with like the gangster girls who would like try to knock your teeth out. I got along with all and everything in between. And I hung out with like all the kind of like outcasts, like metalhead skaters.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was into weird stuff, and I was also hanging around people who were into weird stuff.
Me too.
I loved. I've just always kind of been out here on the fringe of stuff. Never really fully identified with any sort of clique or group, other than like the group of people who didn't identify with the cliques or the groups. Right? It was just like all the sort of hodgepodge of weird people, punk rockers, skaters, goth, metal, just all those people.
Hell yeah. I was all in. I wanted to check out your group. I wanted to not infiltrate, but openly join, check it out, but reserve the right to leave and go and check out another place. And so I was just always moving around. And I think that some people didn't like that at all about me. And so if I was feeling that energy, I was just like, okay, well, I'll just go check this out. But I was always just moving around and trying to see what my options are. What about you, Beth?
I was born and I knew, like Jennifer, that it was all bullshit. My first word was no. And I was a pain in everybody's ass. I wouldn't take anything at face value or let those things that made no sense go by. And I wouldn't give it up. And, I had a lot of flack from my family. Now I'm getting it worse than ever. I had actually worked my way back into their good books, but all of a sudden this thing hits. They're all medical people, like just, doctors, nurses, medical administrators. And they've been attacking me, and we can't agree on literally anything. So I hope my family life survives this whole thing. But at the end of the day, the truth is actually more important. Like, of course, family is important, but that's the line that has to be drawn, where you're, okay, it's my own personal sacrifice for the sake of something bigger. Yeah, I saw that. That's lovely.
All I did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so no is no. That's, you got to call it like you see it.
Awesome, Beth. I'm so happy that we put this panel together, because we need each other during this time of opposition. The best thing that we can do is show that we are coming together. And I hope that if we all, next episode, maybe we can all come up with something that we disagree on, so that we can show, be an example of what it's like to have a conversation with people with an opposing point of view. Cami, Excellent. What are your closing thoughts?
I think it's great. I'm going to, let's stop that. I was going to do something else. Even being here, for somebody like me is, and we're a mess, stepping out of my comfort zone. It's it's not something I like playing with the magnets and doing things behind and playing with the little pieces and showing people in persons, but it's time for all of us to step out of our comfort zones and make a difference right now, because the time has come for it. With that said, I'm going to bump off camera, but I want to say hi to everybody. Look, I did candles.
Ooh, is that a
Nice.
salt?
Oh, nice.
And for anybody that doesn't know, that's Globuster Central behind me.
Cool.
Awesome.
But in closing, I think it is important. I think it's important that we get together, that we're able to talk about things and again discuss differences without name calling and with curiosity and with the willingness to learn. So I think the idea of the show is the greatest thing, and I'm really grateful that you guys invited me, and pleased, because I know out of the group here I'm the newbie and the person not on camera, but I think it takes more of the people like me right now to have the guts to join in and step out of the comfort zone. So thanks for the opportunity.
Of course, Cammie. Nobody would have it any other way. And by the way, this wasn't my idea. This was something that people have been asking for a long time. And I heard different individuals say that they were thinking about it. And so I just made the messenger group, and it just happened. And and Karen had been thinking about it first. Karen, what are your closing thoughts? What did you think of this first episode?
I thought it was great. And I think that it's great that we're doing this, and I want to do it again. And I love all of you. And I think I think it's great. I love it.
Awesome. So do you want to do it next time? Should we have it on your channel next month?
If you want to.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it on your channel, and then you'll pick who's next time.
Okay. Is that how we do it?
Well, next time you can change how we do it, but this time I'll just say
okay.
that we're going to do it for next time.
All right.
It's like we get the talking stick, but the talking stick is also like totally omnipotent in our realm of the cauldron. And Jen, I'm going to give you the last word.
I just love you guys. I'm very grateful to be here with you. And I'm also grateful to Brian Stavely, because if it wasn't for him, I would not have even started live streaming. So that's awesome. And yeah, this is great. This idea of having a woman's panel and touching on all these different topics. And there's a ton of stuff we could get into down the road. The Mandela effect is something that everybody has their own perspective on. That's something that we should really delve into, because we've come a long way in the last 4 years with this whole Mandela effect, and we can look back and maybe have a whole new perspective on it, put our heads together. And, sure, there's a lot of things we'll disagree on that topic. But thanks again for having me. And, whenever you want to do it on my channel, I'm down.
Hell yeah. Well, we're gonna revolve it every single week, and I'm really excited about it, because I know that depending on who's the host is really going to set the vibe for the show and whatever's going on that week, and it's going to be awesome. And maybe we can put together, I wonder what this will be like, 6 people like managing one email address. Maybe we can come up with an email address so then people could contact us to tell us what they would recommend. Anyway, thank you to everyone. I'm sorry I didn't pay much attention to the comments, but I'll go back and I'll look at them later on when they generate. And I hope that you all have a wonderful night. And the Bitches Brew will see you for episode 2 on Karen B's channel next month. And we'll all spam you with that link once the link is created. And also, we all love you, Patricia Steer. And we hope that you will be able to join us next time, because you were truly missed. All right. Good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Take care. Thanks.